Hello there, ladies and gentlemen. This is Orphanlast, and today I'm going to be talking about the process in which I used in order to make the new channel art that happens to be up on my channel. And here I'm just kind of tinkering with a website and such like that happens to tell me the dimensions of basically like a banner or something like that on YouTube. And even if you get the dimensions of the whole banner, for some reason they have you use this enormous a picture, and then they crop out like 90% of it, and so you have to like place your picture, your actual banner, inside of this small section of this big file. And honestly, I don't understand it. It's just like, for me, I just wind up just kind of tinkering around until finally it just matches up perfectly. But anyways, yeah, here, like, okay, so what the image that you actually saw me just throw in, it's a file that I've got for my logo that's existed for quite some time. I use it inside of my the thumbnails, and the actual logo. The Orphanlast logo is inspired by Sherlock Holmes. There's this old silhouetted image of Sherlock Holmes, him with a profile view, wearing his stupid hat and smoking his little pipe. And you know, I always thought that looked really elegant. And so basically, my logo is basically inspired by that. But the thing is that I wasn't, when I initially created this logo, I wasn't even thinking of a logo. I was thinking, oh, you know what, I want a tattoo. And so here I created this little idea for a tattoo that's inspired by the by Sherlock Holmes. And then I just kind of thought about it over the years. This is the way that it is with all tattoos when I'm concerned with it. Like, I don't think I'm ever going to get a tattoo, because like, I know how to draw really cool stuff and such like that. And after a while, like, I get better at drawing, and then I look at my artwork that I thought about tattooing to myself. I'm just thinking, hey, I'm really glad I never got that tattooed. That's just stupid. Why would I do that? That's just my personal perception. Anyone can get a tattoo. I don't give a crap. But anyways, so yeah, the original the original version of the logo to the right here, it's not actually the original, but at least the original digital version of it. It was created on a version of Photoshop that's not sold anymore. It was available for phones. It's not the Photoshop Express. It's not that. It's a type of Photoshop that was like a really simplified, dumbed down version of Photoshop that was really powerful, but then Adobe just decided to abandon it after I bought it for like 20 bucks, and it pisses me off to some extent that they just sell something, you spend money on a product, and then they stop producing it. But yeah. But I can't access the images on my phone for this app that I created, so oh well. It's up to me to use Krita to pretty much create something similar or better at this point, because the original logo design or the original channel art that I had on my channel, it was just me grabbing a bunch of finished stuff, like, oh, that's a tattoo that I can use as a logo. And in fact, I plan on using that forever. Alright, let's see. Oh, here's this drawing that I finished. I'll just put this little portion of this drawing on my channel art and just slapping things together. And, you know, I knew it was going to be temporary from the very beginning, all the channel art that I was doing initially, because I did take graphic design. I did take a bunch of college courses on graphic design. And so I know that's a horrible way of doing it, but if you're just last minute, just rush it, get it out, as long as it looks professional, just get it out. And that's exactly what I did. And so now that I have a little bit more time to focus on, okay, I want to have a professional image here, I have a chance to do that. And so yeah, this is me using the concentric ellipse. Now, what the concentric ellipse does is you can go ahead and create a circle or an oval or whatever with the concentric ellipse, but anywhere on the canvas you can go ahead and actually draw the ellipse, big or small, and it happens to basically be an ellipse that's perfectly shaped to the template of the concentric ellipse that you created, if that makes sense. And I noticed that the edges of the ring around the logo here looked a little too sharp, so I wound up using the ellipse tool, feathering it, and the ellipse selection tool. Feathering the selection, pressing Control-Shift-I to invert the selection. Inverse selection is what it's referred to. Inverse. Okay? And so that basically selects everything that the direct opposite of what you've selected. And after you feathered the image and such, you press delete basically, and whoa, look at that, you feathered what you selected. And so that right there is a good technique to use. And throughout this entire process, whenever I do logo design or what have you, there's a lot of happy accidents. There's nothing thought out except for just like, okay, there is a few things thought out, but it's really just time to doodle, time to just kind of play with things and make happy accidents and learn a little bit more about this program and see how things turn out. And that's exactly how things turned out with this logo. I wound up playing around with the blending modes, which posed problems, legitimate problems, but like whenever you play around with the blending modes and they start acting unpredictably with other layers and stuff like that, you just need to figure it out. And you just need to play around with the program, figure it out, and then you'll get better with the program. And like I did it all the time with Photoshop until I was never surprised by anything with Photoshop, and I'm doing the same thing all over again with Krita. And yeah, you know, there's things that confuse the crap out of me with Krita, but the only way that you're ever going to learn is if you play around with the program. Yeah, tutorials will teach you a level of proficiency with the program, but when you run straight into a brick wall, you know, the only way you're going to figure it out sometimes is by just figuring it out, just by you tinkering with the program. I don't know what made me decide on using red, but I do know that red, black, and blue, they all work really well together. I'm not entirely sure how these blending modes somehow created a black background. I wanted a black background, but somehow they did. And I still don't know how I did this, to be honest. It's just like I just started tinkering with things, and things just started to fall into place. And, you know, that's kind of the beautiful thing about doodling and creating a logo. You're allowed to just kind of tinker with things and let things just happen and just accept things for what they are. And happy accidents are awesome. At this point, I didn't like the pure red that happened to be inside of the logo, so I went ahead and selected the ring, the white ring on the exterior, and then went ahead and shrunk it down. But what I found is, you know, it wound up going from being some sort of cool, bright looking thing to being something that's kind of dark, and I don't know, I kind of liked the darker little swirls around, but I decided to kind of play around with a little bit of the blending modes, and then, you know, I settled on one particular one that I liked, but the opacity was too high. And then where the layer that is inside of the actual logo would actually touch the white ring around the logo, I noticed that it would leave this kind of yellow looking film sort of texture on it, and so I spent time erasing that. I also didn't like how the circular stuff, the stuff inside of the logo, it just had this jagged edge towards the edge of the red section. So I go ahead and I select I use the selection ellipse tool and just kind of feather it, and kind of experiment with brushes and stuff like that. I'm not really quite sure exactly what I settled with. I think what I did settle with was I just feathered it, inversed it, and then pressed delete a few times until it just seemed like, yeah, alright, so the edge of this red area inside of my logo looks pretty crisp here. And then I just pressed Control-Shift-A to deselect everything, and everything turned out really well, I think, with that. And as far as everything else, like I was thinking about this when I made my original channel art. You know, that right there, what was on the screen right there. If you notice, it has my logo, and then it says Orphanlast. Okay, I didn't really like that. I was thinking, well, maybe I should just have the logo itself be an O, and then have the rest of my name be Rphanlast. And I didn't do that originally because nobody knew who I was, and so people would be like Orphanlast instead of Orphanlast, Orphanlast. I don't know. Here, you know, the text tool inside of Krita is such a pain in the butt. If I want to change the color of the text, it's half the time it doesn't even cooperate with me. So I just went ahead and just typed in Orphanlast, converted the vector layer for the text into a raster, and then I just went ahead and inverted it from black to white. And here you can actually just see me kind of tinkering with, just experimenting. If I were to use my brush to do this, what I think I would like to actually draw an outline of all this, I think what I would more so do, if I were to do this again, I would try to create pretty much the exact same thing that created the bright blue and white ring around my logo, and make each letter kind of look like that. Kind of make it look like beams of light forming the words Orphanlast. I think that would look pretty sweet, but you know, I feel like I've adequately finished at this point. Here you see me kind of tinkering with brushes. I'm like, okay, I want something blue in the background because my colors have always been black, red, and blue. I just happen to introduce white into it a little bit. So I really like how these colors blend together. Blue and red, really good. Black and blue, looks good. Black and red, looks good. Anyways, that pretty much concludes it for this video. Please like, share, and subscribe. And if you didn't like it, please like and share and subscribe anyways. Have a great day.